This conversation we just had about the origins of the virus, I don't think I could have had that conversation in a useful way on Capitol Hill, because everybody would have been so dug in to their perspective, which is not necessarily based upon their review of the evidence, but their sense about what fits best with their own kind of initial view about who to blame for this. And it becomes almost impossible to have a discussion where people listen to each other. So thank you for listening.
Oh yeah,
all the way along. You've been great at that.
Yeah, no, I think it's so important what we're doing there. So let's talk a little bit about how it got, or how it went so sideways. The misinformation that went out there, and not only the misinformation, but the way that some of that information grew legs because of the stifling of certain storylines and certain people who wanted to shut down what they claimed to be misinformation, but now in many respects may have been true. And from the very beginning, I mean, I saw things, like going back to the storyline that we talked about before. Was it started in a lab? Was it started as a bat virus in a wet market? Was it a bat virus that they were studying in the lab? Was it? I even saw people claiming that it was, this had nothing to do with a bat. It had nothing to do with China. It had everything to do with, microchips and 5G cell towers and things like that. And
Yeah.
so there was so many different things going on in the very beginning, but then some of those things where people that maybe would normally think logically, all of a sudden saw the government trying to squash what they claim to be misinformation or shutting down the voices of others. Talk about how you feel about that in the beginning. What was going through, and what were the things that you were hearing in Washington, and maybe what were some of the things that maybe even you said in Washington at the beginning that may have, no matter the intentions, obviously, but may have contributed to that?
Absolutely. I made plenty of mistakes. It was a crisis. I think we were gathering data all the way along that was incomplete. We didn't understand this virus all that well. There was a big problem early on that we didn't really appreciate this virus could be carried by people with no symptoms who could then infect lots of other people. That was not expected. That's not the way other viruses like this have been. And so a lot of what was initially proposed was, let's focus on the people who are having symptoms, make sure that they get isolated. So we told people, don't worry about wearing masks if you don't have any symptoms. Then we found out, people who have no symptoms at all are actually the most common spreaders of this. Okay, time to put on your mask. But we didn't explain that very well. And people basically said, they're just jerking us around here. This is flip-flopping. I think we failed all the way along. And this is me, and this is others like the CDC and like Dr. Fauci. We failed to say every time we'd arrived at a particular perspective, this is the best we got today, but it might change tomorrow because our information right now is woefully incomplete. That didn't come across. It sounded like, now hear this. We, the public health experts, are going to tell you what to do. And people said, okay, initially, let's try to do that. That doesn't sound good. We don't want to actually have to do those things, but you're telling us this is what we have to do. And then, daggone it, a month or two later, it's not that. So why should we listen to you anymore? And so we failed, I think, to convey that we were not evil. We were not actually trying to jerk people around. We were dealing with information that was changing every day as we learned more about this virus. And of course, the virus didn't even stay the same. It kept evolving into alphas and betas and deltas and omicrons. And so even what we thought we knew back at the beginning certainly is not true about BA5. So it was by necessity that the public health recommendations were going to be tentative and preliminary and provisional, but they didn't come across that way. And I think we lost a lot of trust by the public because it seemed like this was just all over the place.